assault. Your little mental case. I've just done a whole series of serious episodes about people like Sirius Black. Because I've just been reading Harry Potter. Don't show your bum to me. Hello? You're one of the evil ones. That's the psycho one, and that's the evil one, and that's an evil one. They're all evil. Welcome to the world. Now, speaking of which, I've just finished a book written by an evil person, J.K. Rowling, and thank goodness that she was sufficiently evil to write this book, because it was a ripper. I'll read the last bit. My son and I have just finished reading it. Now, where was it? What's that? He snarled. This is Uncle Vernon. Staring at the envelope Harry was still clutching in his hand. If it's another form for me to sign, you've got another. It's not, said Harry cheerfully. It's a letter from my godfather. Godfather? Sputtered Uncle Vernon. You haven't got a godfather? Yes, I have, said Harry brightly. He was my mum and dad's best friend. He's a convicted murderer, but he's broken out of wizard prison and he's on the run. He likes to keep in touch with me, though, keep up with my news, check if I'm happy. And, grinning broadly at the look of horror on Uncle Vernon's face, Harry set off towards the station exit, Hedwig rattling along in front of him for what looked like a much better summer than the last. I think that's fantastic. The whole book was fantastic. I loved it. But it did betray J.K. Rowling as having an evil streak. And thank God for that. Otherwise she couldn't have written this book. And we would have all been sitting ducks, listening to all the saints of this world, trying to write books that really didn't have a message for us. Maybe Emma Watson. No, not Emma Watson. Yeah, that is her name. Emma Watson, the person who played Hermione, might have written a book for us. To rival J.K. Rowling's books. And it would have been awful, because she's a lovely person. Maybe Daniel Radcliffe too. Maybe he would have written a book and it would have been similarly awful. And I wish I was evil. I wish I was as evil as J.K. Rowling, actually. I could never write a book like I just read. It was brilliant. I really couldn't. In a month of millennia, I couldn't have written a book like that, and I wish I could have. I'm in awe. But I do my little lukewarm version of all that with these comedy episodes I've been making. And the chickens have gone, haven't they? All right, I'll put myself back on. I do my own little version of all of that. And with my comedy episodes. And I'm evil. And, I discussed that at length just before in the previous episodes. And during those episodes, there were moments where I didn't like myself. But it's good to still be yourself. But I really enjoyed making those episodes. They're actually completely unwatchable. I just wanted to have them. My son got a lot out of the Harry Potter book 2, the one we just read, and the previous ones, and he'll get a lot out of the next one too. He learnt a lot about the human condition. He really did. It was amazing. A saint, a saint in the modern sense, couldn't write such a book. It just had too many dark bits in it. Even that last bit, Harry absolutely tormenting his own uncle, Uncle Vernon there. That he was terrifying his Uncle Vernon. As horrible as his uncle is, that's just an evil way to finish a book, to have a boy do that. because this Sirius Black, well, as far as the world was concerned, he was a murderer. And in Uncle Vernon's mind, he's a murderer. And Harry was threatening his uncle with the fact that he and Sirius Black were like this, And, he really should have, if he was a good person, Harry, he really should have said to Uncle Vernon, listen, I've got a secret. Sirius Black is not a murderer. And so on and so forth, But no, this book was written by J.K. Rowling, not by Emma Watson. It was written by the real Hermione, not the woman who was acting as Hermione in the movies. It's an easy mistake to make. And I like to think that someone like J.K. Rowling is really important to have in the world, along with someone like Emma Watson. Emma Watson has come out heavily criticising J.K. Rowling, and J.K. Rowling deserves every bit of that, of course. But we still need J.K. Rowling, as evil as she is. She's an evil witch, and I'm an evil witch, really, because I made an episode before. Oh, what was in this before? Hang on. There was something about spawn of Satan or something there, I thought, that she's written about. Emma Watson isn't going to come up with something like that, or did I get that from somewhere else? It could be in here, in this book. I can't remember. I get mixed up. But I was actually warned, and that was the subject of the previous 5 episodes, believe it or not. I was actually warned about the way the world is, because it's been a long time since I've been on social media, and apparently it's been getting worse. I was warned yesterday because I put up an episode that would have been pretty normal satire not too long ago, the other day, and that's what all the 5 episodes prior to this one were about, in which I said, what did I say? My childhood turned me Nazi, and that, and my someone who was warning me about the social media world, absolutely correctly, I am sure, gave me a long list of all the evil things that the world might do to my children, for example, should I keep that title up as a satire, which is what it was, on a podcast. No, what is this, a YouTube episode? She gave me a long list of all the things that other children would do to my children should I leave such a title up, all of which steeled me to the idea that I must leave it up. And it was incredible, the list. The number, as I said, of buttons my friend pushed and levers she pulled to describe how evil people get online, on social media, even made my straight hair go curly. I got better. But it was actually serious, and you know what? I think she was absolutely correct. Everything she said was correct. She said, there are, I presume girls, because she was talking about my daughters, I presume there are girls out there that would accuse my daughters of being the spawn of Satan, and 100 other things. She just listed all the terrible things which no doubt she sees on the internet. It's absolutely amazing. She showed me. She showed me that world, and I haven't seen that because I'm older and all that sort of stuff. And I said, wow, I've got to really get my daughters ready for this, and my son too. But far from taking my episode down, I'm still steeled to the idea of leaving it up as it is, because it has to be war, as far as I can tell. The more that my friend showed me of that world, the sheer evil of it, the bullying, and you can't get a job if your dad makes a satire about being a Nazi and all that sort of stuff. This episode, for example, I've just made this episode called I'm Black. Now that's absolutely inflammatory, and that's almost me like dialing it up, making it worse, because that's even worse than being a Nazi at the moment for someone, to culturally appropriate. appropriate. Now, obviously, I'm not culturally appropriating. It's obviously a joke. If actually, I think the very first thing I videoed just now, because I haven't named it I'm Black yet, because I'm just recording it, but I'm going to, because the first thing I like this. The first thing I videoed, I just realised, was our white chicken. Now it had nothing. There was nothing in my motivations for calling this episode I'm Black, or there was no pre-planning of me doing that. Putting the white chicken on first. But I'm troublemaking, just like Harry Potter was just then, because J.K. Rowling is a troublemaker, an absolute troublemaker, and so was Harry. Because Harry is an extension of herself, as is Hermione and Ron, and all the evil characters, and the good ones too, which is interesting in these books. She runs by a number of aliases, many. J.K. Rowling, I'm running by just one at the moment, Charlie Threadbow. That's my fake name for the moment, but it's not a fake name like you're thinking a fake name. It's actually a device. It's an artistic device. It's a noble thing. All right, so, but I'll call this episode I'm Black, and I've got a reason for saying that, because my son told me I was today, just before when we finished the book, and I described to him. He said, "Look at that, did you see that?" Because I had to describe him. He knows, but I had to tell him what the role of the godfather is, because the end of that book was all about a godfather that came along. Harry lost his parents. They were killed. J.K. Rowling killed his parents, and and this is, these are the evil screws that J.K. Rowling is willing to turn. But she has had a godfather come along. Harry, unbeknown to Harry, he got a godfather appointed to him, who, as far as the world is concerned, is a murderer, and one of the worst murderers around. But Harry has found out he's innocent, but it's a whole other story. The world thinks he's a murderer still. So I explained to my son that that's the role of the godfather. And he's aware that I play the role of the godfather in real life, here and there, And he said, "Oh, so you're Black?" I said, "Absolutely, yeah." I didn't want to get into that whole other thing. It wasn't a Black Lives Matter moment. It was a father-son moment. Oh, hello. They're back. I'll leave it all at that. Hello, you mental case.